Hello, Odenton Church of God family and anybody else who may be watching this video right now. We are the Manning family, and today we are going to talk to you guys a little bit about what transpired during Holy Tuesday. I'm going to start off by reading a passage of scripture, and then my wife is going to go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into that passage of scripture. And I'll be starting off at Matthew chapter 21, starting off from the 23rd verse and reading down until the 27th verse. And I'll be coming out of the New Living Translation Bible. When Jesus returned to the temple and began teaching, the leading priests and elders came up to him. They demanded, "By what authority are you doing all these things? Who gave you the right?" "I'll tell you by what authority I do these things if you answer one question," Jesus replied. "Did John's authority to baptize come from heaven, or was it merely human?" They talked it over among themselves. "If we say it was from heaven, he will ask us why we didn't believe John. But if we say it was merely human, we'll be mobbed because the people believe John was a prophet." So they finally replied, "We don't know." And Jesus responded, "Then I won't tell you by what authority I do these things."
All right. So what was taking place in this scripture was the religious leaders came together and they were trying to find any way that they could conspire and trap Jesus. So that was their main goal. They were freaking out. They really wanted him to go to jail. They were tired of him, walking around their city doing, miracles and doing this and doing that. Cleansing the temple was probably their last straw. So they want to do anything. So they figured, let's ask him by what authority does he have to do these things. And if he says God, we can charge him with blasphemy and he can get arrested. So they were hoping that that's what he was going to do. But obviously, God knows everything. Jesus knows everything. So he did not feed into their, crazy plan. He put them right where they needed to be, and they were trapped. So they tried to trap Jesus, but they ended up being trapped. And whatever answer they gave to Jesus's question came with consequences. So they weren't able to answer Jesus' question, which let Jesus, not have to answer their question, which would kind of get him into a bind and them trying to charge him with blasphemy and such. So on Holy Tuesday, the Pharisees, the Herodians, and even the Sadducees came together trying to discredit Jesus. They wanted this day to be, trying to get him locked up. Let's do away with Jesus. Let's find whatever way that we can to get rid of this man. But Jesus always comes out on top.
Yeah.
So what happened for the rest of this day? In Matthew 23 verses 13 to 33, Jesus pronounced 7 condemnations addressing the false religion that was abhorrent to God. So Jesus went in these few scriptures from 13 to 33. Jesus just goes in on these false teachings, and he doesn't let up at all. So that's one of my favorite parts about Holy Tuesday. And then when we go down, when Jesus is leaving the temple and he goes and he sits on Mount Olive, his disciples come to him and they ask him, when will all this stuff happen? Because Jesus goes down and he says, what is going to take place after this, when he said, I'm paraphrasing, but when he's crucified and he raises on the 3rd day, the disciples come to him and say, when will all this take place? What will signal your return to the end of the world? So Jesus ends all this off. Matthew 24 and 25, he sums up to his disciples, what signals they can look for, what's going to happen, at the end of the world. And he actually sits down and breaks everything down. If we sat here and read these 2 chapters, it would take us all night. But he really breaks down everything for the disciples and tells them everything that's going to happen at the end of the world. Nation will go against nation. We're going to see, all these different things happening that will signify the end of the world. And not only did Jesus do that for them when he answered their question, he also gave them practical lessons for their lives, and all the different things that'll be happening at that time, also encouraging them to stay faithful, stay watchful, and be prepared. So that is the best way to end off Holy Tuesday, is for that encouraging word from Jesus after all he's been through that day, to really end off with him answering the disciples' question about the end of the world, and for him to tell the disciples, stay faithful, stay watchful, and be prepared. And that is Holy Tuesday.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Make sure you come back tomorrow to see what happens on Wednesday, and be blessed. Thank you so much.
Amen.